Hello everyone and welcome to Helix Cloud Games. My name is Richie and this is SideQuest, the show where we take a step off the critical path and explore more what the video game world has to offer. On this week's show we're discussing, is Stadia Pro getting stronger and stronger? And to discuss this I'm joined by the host of the Sounds of Stadia podcast, Mr. Chris.
Happy Pro Day, everybody.
Happy Pro Day. Well, it's not Pro
Every day is a Pro Day.
Every day is a Pro Day. It's like, we should have done this one at the start of the month. But before we get into it, make sure you sub to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that bell icon for notifications when all of our great shows go live, such as the Sound Stadia podcast, our weekly Stadia news podcast that comes out on YouTube and podcast services, like this show does, every single Monday, and our Thursday night live streams. So Chris, as the months pass by and more titles get added to the Stadia Pro library, the value of the often criticised model is starting to bear fruit against its competition.
Yeah, it really is. To kind of start things off, I guess, Stadia Pro is often criticised in the media for... Well, to begin with, they don't really get it that much. When you see articles, they always compare the Pro model as the way to get games without fully breaking down the fact that you can buy a game a la carte and the Pro is a supplement to Google Stadia. Almost people have it in their mind that Pro is the Netflix catalogue style.
There's still, I think, a section of people who think that you need Stadia Pro to play on Stadia as well. You don't. Just to get this out of the way, you don't need Stadia Pro to play Stadia. You can just buy the games that you want to play, like you can on Xbox or PlayStation. Stadia Pro, I've always equated more closer to something like PS Plus. Mm-hmm. But with the caveat that games don't just disappear. Well, once it's in your library, as long as you got the subscription access open, you can get the games. Unlike PS Plus, you don't only have a 1 month window to actually get the game. To claim them, that's the word I was looking for. For example, Creator has been on the platform for 20 months.
Yeah, that's 20 months that you've been able to drop in, sign up, and claim it. And I think you're completely right, Richie. That is the big differentiating factor. Yeah. And I think with Stadia acknowledging Pro, I think now they've passed that 50-point mark. We've seen a lot of them shouting about it on social media.
It's a good milestone.
They dropped a little YouTube advert in. They were tweeting about it, and it is a good milestone to have. Like, you have 50 games in your library from day one. So if you've never touched Stadia before, you've never touched Pro before, you sign up to this crazy cloud platform, whether it's through your brand new LG TV, your Chromecast, the app, your phone, or whatever. Whoa, you've got a massive library of games to jump into with a huge wealth of variety and AAA to indie title choice. Well, it's great.
Yeah. Well, what I think I'll do is, before we get into it, I'll read through the list of games that are currently on the platform to kind of give an example of the sort of variety we're talking about.
Cool.
All
do
50.
You want to go back and forth, just to give you a bit of a break between, like, you do one, I do one, you do one, I do one?
Yeah, can do. So first off, there's Creator.
Then we have Hitman.
Republic.
Journey to the Savage Planet.
Avicii Invector.
Pixel Junk Raiders.
East 8, Lacrimosa of Dana.
Trine 4, The Nightmare Prince.
Floor Kids.
Legend of Heroes, Trails of Cold Steel 3.
Blue Fire.
Moonlighter.
Terraria.
Darkside Detective.
Killer Queen Black.
It Came from Space and Ate Our Brains.
Our Brains. Epistory, Typing Chronicles.
Grime.
Paw Patrol, Mighty Pups, Save Adventure Bay.
Little Big Workshop.
Wave Break.
Darksiders 2, Definitive Edition.
Ark Survival Evolved.
Legend of Keepers.
Spirit Lucky's Big Adventure.
Hello, Engineer.
Cake Bash.
Control Ultimate Edition.
Saints Row 4, Re-elected.
100 Days Wine Making Simulator.
Kimono Heroes.
Wavetail.
Transformers Battlegrounds.
Wreckfest.
Destroy all humans.
It's exclamation marks, so you should shout that, really.
I would, but I'll clip.
The Falconeer Warrior Edition.
Foreclosed.
Unto the End.
Darksiders 3.
Bloodstained Ritual of the Night.
Shantae, Risky's Revenge.
The Dark Side Detective, A Fumble in the Dark.
DreamWorks Dragons, Dawn of New Riders.
Cosmic Star Heroine.
Nanotale Titan Chronicles.
Medic's Market.
Fogs.
One Hand Clapping.
Which is impossible. Life is Strange Remastered.
And Life is Strange Before the Storm Remastered.
So
I think
some good picks
just going through that,
yeah.
just going through that list shows you how long of a list it is.
Yeah.
I think I got the better half of that list, actually. I think the ones I got to read out were definitely the better games.
Yeah, I mean, that was just purely based on luck. So for me, the pick of the bunches, you got things like Life is Strange, Control's on there. What else? Ace 8, I think, is a really good game if you're into your action JRPGs. I hear good things. Humans. I hear good things about Legend of Heroes, but they're fed in the ongoing series, which is part of a giant bigger series. So I haven't jumped into it because it's like that's hard place to jump into. Yeah.
Yeah. Wavetale, I think it was a lot of people's really game of the year, or at least indie game of the year for last year's run through.
I need to play that game.
Yeah, you really do. You really do. It's a nice little palate cleanser. Yeah. And of course, we recently just got Bloodstained Ritual of the Night 2, which I think was a big title just based on price alone. And I think it's safe to say that there's just such a wealth of variety. We know they're not all AAA hits, but then the other platforms don't get that too. If we look over to like PlayStation Plus, yes, they've got absolute highs. Some of the games they drop.
PlayStation Plus has been a bit mediocre in what its offerings for the last year or so. I can't remember the last. Actually, I know what the last PlayStation Plus game I played is because it's only recently that I've just platinumed it, and that was Uncharted Lost Legacy. But I played that months after it came out on PlayStation Plus, so it doesn't really count.
Yeah, looking back through the last few months of PlayStation Plus, again, it's not apples to oranges because of the games are available to PlayStation, so they have a bigger library to be able to put on PlayStation Plus. Plus, they have their own studios which make games as well. So let's not forget, when you sign up to PlayStation Plus on a PS5, you get a 20+ game library of absolute AAA quality hits too. So let's not dissuade that. But it has the likes of Hitman 2 on there. It's got Control Ultimate Edition, but then in and amongst that,
everyone's
got
Control
Squadrons.
Ultimate Edition. Everyone's got Control.
Call of Duty Black Ops is on there. So they have some great months, but then they have some weaker months too. And I think that's the interesting thing with all of these subscription models is it's all contextual. It's all objective as like how you like games, what you play. And
again, it's worth reiterating that the list of games we've just read, and this is all the games that have been on it. These are the games that if you open a Stadia account now, got your 3-month trial to Pro, this is the 50 game. You now have a 50 game library, like instantly. Yeah. So we've had other big hitters on there, like Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah,
that's the first one that comes to mind. But
Destiny was for a long time before it went free. Was on there. We had SpongeBob briefly as well. So yeah, there are games that don't hang around for as long as some of them do. But you're totally right, Rich. Yeah, Control Ultimate Edition on PlayStation was February 2021. And if you missed it in that 28-day month, the shortest month of the year, that was it. Whereas now you sign up for Pro and it's still there. You can claim one of my games of the year.
Looking at this, I think there's a great push that Stadia could do to go to like kind of lapsed gamers. Say someone who used to be a gamer when he was younger, now he's got kids or she's got kids, and then because of that they've lapsed. But now the kids are getting older; they're a bit easier to handle. I don't have kids, so sorry, parents, if that was complete nonsense I just said there. But if you want to get back into the game, you don't want to buy a box. This you could push this and go, yeah, here's 50 games. Some are going to be great for your kids, but others you're going to have a blast with. Something like Control, Game of the Year candidate. Like this is did it win actually?
It won a few places Game of the Year. It's not everyone.
But that's a tier of game we're talking. It's like, and it's a big range.
It is, and you're completely right there. If you jump in now, there is something for everyone, and as we've said before, variety is the spice of life, and that's why Game Pass is doing so well right now, because you jump in and you just get a plethora of titles to just check out and bounce around between. You don't like that? Don't worry, we've got this over here. We've got this to check out. And yes, we know Stadia Pro doesn't come with your AAA Halo Infinite and Horizon and all that kind of Forza, sorry. But not everyone really cares for that. There's enough variety in these 50 games to really give people.
I mean, I've outright said if you want an Xbox, Game Pass or a PC that's capable of playing these games, Game Pass is the best value in gaming. Absolutely. xCloud is also there. It's really good, getting better all the time. So, but the downside of Game Pass is you have a time window to play most of these big titles before they get pulled.
Agreed. So would you say then, based on the titles, do you think, like looking at the longest tenure of them, we've got Crater up there at 20 months, Hitman is up there at 18 months, Journey to the Savage Planet is coming in at 13, so there's a couple of games now that are reaching the year mark.
Yeah. Journey to the Savage Planet's a weird one because it's kind of owned by Stadia.
I mean, they gave the IP back to Typhoon, who obviously rebranded as, was it Raccoon Studios or something like that? So they own the IP, but I'm guessing Stadia locked the game in permanently before they give the rights back. Like, that would make sense to be like, well, we did own it, so we need like a legacy agreement that it stays on the platform.
You can have all the assets. You can go off, do your own studio, but we're keeping the game on the platform on Pro.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, if you're the developer, you'll be like, fine. I think that would be an easy pill to swallow, to be honest. It's like,
indeed. And we do know from this week as well that the Pro deal for developers is doing really, really well. They've actively came out. We covered it in this week's podcast show that we've got quotes from Acapara Games and Outright Games that they actively say Pro has exceeded their expectations from both a financial and a player base standpoint. So it works. It really, really works.
Well,
and I guess
the monetization strategy for Pro for the developers is all the Pro subscriptions go into a pot. Google take 30%. The other 70% is split between the developers based on playtime. So
if your game does really well, then or a game that's a time sink, there's potentially more revenue there. For me then, Richie, what do you think Pro needs to do to kind of elevate it beyond just the 50 games? We've theorised it a few times before, but now we're hitting this point where they're actually singing its praises and the value is clear to see. Yeah. How do you lock in that value and say, look, even beyond the games, because let's face it, the 4K 60 frames thing, it goes back and forth, but half of the games on this list, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, and to be fair, a lot of games, Stadia, unfortunately, maybe this is the thing, that a lot of people are not paying for this library of games if they prefer to. I know I just want to buy the games I want. I don't care about these free ones, which is perfectly fine. And they're paying for the 4K 60. I think what Google need to do is deliver on that, actually. I think that would be the biggest thing, because I think this library of 50 is good. Maybe you start rotating games out. Maybe you keep we're going to keep a library of 50, so every month there's 50 games claimable. But some games, because do you keep adding to it? It's a hard decision because
they do leave eventually. I mean, in total we've had 130 Pro games since Stadia's inception. So we have lost like a good 70, 80 plus titles. However,
what I'm thinking about is how do you entice more developers to put the games on here? Because every time another game goes on this list, for the long term, you're taking your piece of the pie is getting smaller and smaller because it's based on playtime.
Very true, very true.
So in order to entice developers, I'd be wary of going too big with this.
Yeah. That makes sense. You're also not remembering the fact that if your game came out on Pro 12 plus months ago, you are so far down that the tiles on the Chromecast screen. You are so far back down that list. No one is rediscovering you anytime soon without a search bar, because there's a few games when I scroll back to search for titles, not on my PC. And I forget I've claimed some of them because I've not seen their thumbnail, their art cover for over a year now. Poor, who's top of the list? Poor Epistory and stuff way back when. Crater, I haven't clicked on them games in months.
I remember the last time we did an episode on Stadia Pro, I remember going through the list at the time. There was games on there that not only did I forget I claimed, I forgot it even launched on the platform.
Let's think. What have we got? Still out, Republic.
Yeah.
If you told me was that ever, we should actually do a quiz one episode when we do a live stream of with the audience, of course.
Can we guess all 50?
Yeah, pro or no, and then you've got to guess: was this a pro game at some point or other?
Yeah.
And it'd be interesting to go with that.
I think part of it, if you want to keep adding value to it as well, is you need to get more games. It comes back to getting more games on the platform, because it's all well and good having this 50 game library, but once people have claimed them, played what they want out of them, you need to keep adding games to it to keep people subscription live. It's that.
Yeah, well, we've said time and time again, especially early doors, we were worried that there wasn't going to be enough games on the platform to sustain Pro, because nearly every indie game eventually comes over to it, and it's almost got a negative double effect where you and myself, we refuse to buy games on Stadia, because if they're coming into that £10 to £20 mark, $15-$20 or whatever, why would you spend it when if you just hang fire for a few months, it's probably going to be Pro?
As it stands, 130 games have been on Stadia Pro at one point in time, which is a good chunk of the library. And bear in mind, there isn't a single Ubisoft game on this list.
Yep.
Which is half the library.
Yeah.
If you add Ubisoft to this, there's your Stadia library entirely, pretty much.
Yeah.
There is other stuff, but
yeah, we should probably look at as well while we're praising Pro for its 50 games. The average Metacritic score as well is currently set at 76.
That's not bad.
That's a decent average across 50,
in fact,
60 titles.
I'd argue for something like this, that's really good.
Definitely. I'd be interested to know if it's higher than PS Plus or Game Pass as well, because there's some shit that goes on those subscription models as well. While we are here, though, we should definitely give a shout out to our good friend InLead as well.
Yeah.
For the Stadia Pro Games model, which none of these statistics would be easily accessible without that. So
anytime we're doing an episode on Stadia Pro, the first thing I boot up is the Stadia Pro game monitor, because it's such a useful tool for an episode like this.
Definitely.
And
you and Lee are a legend.
And he's always tweaking it, at making it even more useful to use. So, he's got a Now on Pro button. That was so useful for this episode, because I just click that button, then I can only see the games that I want to talk about. Brilliant.
Genius. And so speaking of Metacritic scores, it's worthwhile probably pointing out that the total retail value, so if you've had Pro from day one, you're talking coming up to nearly $3,500 worth of value for a retail price of the game, with the average retail price about $26.
Yeah.
Which is, again, when people say value for money, let's face it, PS Plus, Game Pass, Stadia Pro, and maybe the Nintendo Switch one, they're all good value for what you're actually paying in comparison to buying games like outright. If you bought all of these Pro games for full price, you'd be pulling your eyeballs out for how much you spent. Yeah. Whereas for a few pound a month, you get them all, and that's where subscription models really do showcase their value, I think.
The problem with a total retail value metric is a game that you're not interested in might sell for £60 off a shelf in your local game shop, but if you're not interested in it, that game has zero value, effectively. So that, I think, is one of the biggest criticisms of Stadia Pro. While there's a lot of games that a lot of people just aren't interested in. I personally like the diversity in the Stadia Pro library, because I understand that I'm not everyone. When it comes down to it, other people exist. Other people have different tastes in games. But I think that's a criticism they need to kind of find a way of addressing a bit. It is a lot of smaller or indie titles. They need, I think, getting some more older AAA titles on the platform and in Stadia Pro could really be a massive boon for them. They've done it with the Tomb Raider games. Something like that, it's an older title, but if you're getting back into gaming and Stadia is your avenue to get back in, you might not have played them. Now you can.
Tomb Raider, interesting enough, the definitive edition was the first Tomb Raider game we got back in December 2019. It only stayed on Pro for 1 month, interestingly enough.
Well, it's fair. Back then, we went in when it first launched. We didn't know that games were going to stick around. I generally assumed that you get 1 month, you claim your games, the next month new games come.
Yeah, and then Destiny hung around for 13 months, and we're like, what?
Yeah. Samurai Showdown stuck around for 3 months. Like, oh well, I guess games will stick around.
And then as we ramped up, we started to realise that we would get up to, I think, June 2020, we got 6 Pro games, and we just thought, they're just going to keep adding more and more. I think Christmas that year, we got
9,
6 and then 7 maybe added on. Like, we got another one, didn't we, with Cthulhu Saves Christmas? But it just shows you that all rules are off the table when it comes to Pro. And I think a lot of people have been asking for, rightly so, an annual payment scheme. Like,
oh god, yeah,
let
absolutely.
me just pay like with a discount maybe of 10-15%,
you
outright fee for 12
make
months.
it equivalent of maybe, let's say, 10 months of your monthly payments, and go, there's your annual subscription. I think that would be good for Google as well, because they're getting the money up front. Although you can argue with the current subscription they get more money in total. But if you've paid up for a year, you're more likely to jump back into the platform. And in the end of the day, money's all well and good, but if people aren't playing games on your platform, it's
just crazy how many games. Even just like scanning over while we're talking here, like some of the titles we've got over the years are terrific. Celeste, another game of the year. The Hitman games, Dead by Daylight, which people keep going back to. We've had the Sniper Elite, the Zombie Armies. Like, we've had quality games as well, and they just sit there to play whenever you want in your library. Resident Evil 7, you said Jedi Fallen Order before. Like, these are stellar hits that we've got.
So, I think the thing they need to do to improve it is get some more slightly older AAA games.
Like Batman.
Yeah, the Arkham series, perfect. They would literally be the perfect Stadia Pro game, because when they come, there's going to be a lot of hype over it because they're well-received games, well loved. You have people go, oh, I haven't played that in a while, I'm going to jump back in. And and then there's new people like me who haven't really played them. It's like, oh, great, I now can play them. And again, if Arkham Asylum came to Stadia Pro, I would play it, because at the moment I can just go and buy a copy of Arkham Asylum, but it's too much effort. I have it on Steam. I could literally just download it today and start playing, but it's too much effort. If it comes to Stadia Pro, suddenly going, oh, well, I'm a content creator, so there's content in this game.
Yeah, I would happily sit and watch you figure your way through Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, like we've done with things like Assassin's Creed and things like that, where we've done full playthroughs. We could do a full live stream of it.
Yeah, I think that's it, isn't it? It just needs to expand to maybe every month. People love PlayStation Plus and Game Pass even more, is when it's one tentpole game, one like quality AAA title, old on you, and then underneath that banner
big and small,
is the smaller games. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. This is the game that we're going to advertise Stadia Pro with this month, and these are the other games you're getting as well.
Yeah, that's your poster boy.
My apologies to the developers.
Again, they're great, but there is a certain. It's similar to like movies and stuff and movie posters, and you always put your star at the front, and then everyone else does take a back seat. That's just how marketing works visually.
And have every month have it a diverse selection of games. So, for example, I think I'm looking at the moment at, what month is it? I can't be bothered to find out what month it was. But we got
February.
Resident Evil 7, SpongeBob SquarePants, Ys 8, and Pikuniku. There's 4 very, very different games for different audiences.
It's probably last May, because I think we got Village in the June.
Yeah, so that's good. I think that's a really strong month. Not only does it have your flagship in there as Resident Evil 7, but, well, you got another really good solid game in Ys 8, but they're very, very different games, and you've got things like SpongeBob and Pikuniku, which are aiming at an even different audience. Exactly. So I think if you do that, if every month that's one of the things I think PlayStation Plus has a good reputation for, is because you do get these games where people are interested in. They might not be every month, but the months that you don't, you're still expecting them to come. And I think that might be the problem with Stadia Pro at the moment. Especially we're so far down the list of what games have already come, is like, what's left?
Well, exactly. Like, what should we expect to see in March? Because I can't think. Early doors, it was quite easy to guesstimate what we might see, but now it is at the point where, well, there's not many AAA titles that we haven't got, or that might be
and we don't know what's coming to the platform.
And we don't know what's coming, so we could get Grid Legends out of nowhere, but we don't know. But I think Pro, it's great. It's in a strong position right now. I'm glad to see it's finally getting some plaudits, as someone who's been subscribed for over 2 years now. I do think it could be tweaked a little bit, but I guess we want our audience to just let us know what they would expect. What do they want to see out of Pro?
That's it, yeah. I, as it stands, I think Stadia Pro is in the strongest position it ever has been.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think perception of it may have went down over time as we just said. It's hard. We can't really do a Stadia Pro predictions episode because we just say any game really, because we don't know what's coming, and so many games that have on the platform have already come to Stadia Pro, probably not going to be. Some things like the Ubisoft games.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, yeah.
What do you do?
What do you do? Let us know in the comments. That's what the comments are for. Also, let us know what your favourite game that you've played in Stadia Pro is. I think that'd be an interesting one as well.
My favourite. Probably going to be like Control or Jedi Fallen Order. But then again, I had a great time playing Resi 7 with you guys. Ooh.
Yeah. You know what? I think I know what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with East 8 for me, purely because I didn't even know about the East franchise before it. I jumped into that game for content to make it fair. I decided to make a first look, so I like JRPGs, and I go, oh, here's a new JRPG, I'll give it a go, and I really enjoyed my time with that game.
You fell in love.
I did. I finished the game. I honestly was expecting to do that first look and not touch it again. But I finished. I rolled credits on it, so there you go.
So you got your money's worth that month.
Yeah, definitely did. I think it's something like 60 to 80 hours I put into it. Definitely worth it.
That's some good return on revenue the devs will be getting for your gameplay then.
Well, I think unfortunately this was before the revenue split changed. I don't know. It might not be unfortunate. I don't know how it worked at that.
Well, they'll know for the next East game then, at least, to put it on Pro.
Well, the next East game is on the platform, so bring it to Pro, guys. Bring it to Pro.
Yep, indeed.
And I'll play it again. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think we've discussed everything we need to about Pro. Again, everyone in the comments, let us know what your thoughts are. What's your favourite Pro game? What do you think it needs to do to evolve? Because it can't stay the same. The way Game Pass is aggressively pulling in everything and every gravitational IP around it, and PlayStation Plus has the long rumoured Spartacus thing that's due out maybe springtime, where we're going to see maybe a tier system of PlayStation Plus. Nintendo Switch doing Nintendo Switch things. They've just recently announced that all the Mario Kart additional tracks are getting folded in alongside Animal Crossing DLC. So Switch are taking a different approach, but it's still one that they keep adding value. So with Stadia Pro, although the games do add value, they're not adding anything different other than just more games. So as a business, it's got to tweak and change and evolve over time, and it's been stagnant. Not stagnant in terms of games and content, but in terms of what it actually is for over 2 years now. So give it a bit of a spring clean. Yeah.
For me, it's just like get more slightly older AAAs in, because I'm not expecting the brand new AAAs to be day and date on Stadia Pro. I think that would be literally asking too much. Mm-hmm. And if a game is on Stadia Pro, it needs to hit that 4K 60 because people are paying for it in the end of the day. I think
it's capable of it, yeah.
Yeah, if the game is capable of it, it should be hitting it. So something like Control, for example, should absolutely be, I don't know if it is or not, I haven't checked, but it should absolutely be 4K 60.
Yeah. Well, I played Control on my PS4 Pro. It struggled then on the tech.
Yeah.
But that, I'm sure the Ultimate Edition's fixed all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't need to have ray tracing, but hit that, because people are paying for that resolution and that frame rate, so you should be delivering. Mm-hmm. Unless there's a very solid reason why that game is not suitable for it.
Yeah, it doesn't need it.
Yeah. But that's all we have time for you this week. If you've liked the video, hit the like button and consider becoming a member. For as little as 99p, you can be a Helix hero, where you can get this show a whole 5, 6, sometimes even 7 days early, depending when we record it. You get it as soon as we're done. If you've got an idea for a topic you want to discuss, you can let us know in the comments or head over to our Discord server. I've been Richie.
I've been Chris.
Thank you very much for watching. Quest completed.